Hey, I'm Scotty T from Your Comedy Minute. I'm here with a multi-talented young lady, Stacy Dymalski. Did I say that right?
You absolutely did.
Oh my goodness, Stacy, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing, Scott?
I feel like a woodpecker in a lumber yard.
Oh, that good, huh?
I'm giddy. I'm giddy to have you here.
hmm
You're in Los Angeles, right?
I am. I am.
Okay.
I'm.
Were you born and raised in Los Angeles?
No, I was born in Northern California,
Okay.
in Martinez, which is a suburb outside of San Francisco.
Okay.
So I'm California, born and bred, but
Okay. Uh, Memoir Midwife is your website. I think it's also a book, right?
it is a book. It's a book on self-publishing.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah. Do you want to tell the people a little about that? I mean, this is your comedy minute. It's all about you, young lady.
Okay, sure. Well, my day job is I work in story development for books and film and TV. And so the story development process is the same no matter what kind of story, if it's a 1 minute story or if it's a 2 hour feature film.
Yeah.
And so I teach story development at Pasadena City College and LA Valley College. And I also teach
Okay.
self-publishing. And I wrote that book as a primer or a textbook for my self-publishing class, but anybody can buy it on Amazon if they're
Right.
interested in self-publishing
It's
their own.
about getting your book published.
Yeah.
Buddy of mine went through that. He wrote a book and he had all kinds of offers. I had another guy tell me all kinds of horror stories about trying to get his book published.
It can go that route. Yeah, it can. It's
Okay. Let's keep going if it's okay
all
with
right.
you.
Yeah.
When did you start doing comedy?
I started doing comedy when I was 19, and I'm not going to tell you how many years ago that
That's it's fine. The
was.
question is the follow-up question is, was there a catalyst, however many years ago, that you said to yourself, you know what, Stacy, let's try comedy?
There absolutely was. That's
Okay.
fine. Yes. So what happened was I was in college at UC Berkeley,
Okay.
and I am a math major and mechanical engineer.
Yeah. I got that.
Yeah, yeah. And so I had couple friends in the business department working in marketing degrees. And one of the things that they got, but there was this new club across the bay called the Punchline. This was 1978, and they gave tickets to all the colleges all around to come, see comedy shows. So I'd never been to a comedy club.
Okay.
It hadn't really hit yet, the whole comedy
Yeah.
clubs, and so a bunch of us went over there with these free tickets. And I don't even remember who I saw. I saw a lot of people there eventually, but
Okay.
um, so we took Bart there. We took Bart the subway home. And on the way home, I said to my friends, I think I could do that. And they went, "Oh my God, you what? No, you're a tech head, a math major.
Yeah.
And so I thought about it and I thought, yeah, I do think I can do that. So I went back on another night by myself without them and I did an open mic. And I'm sure I just stunk on ice. I'm sure I was awful, but when I was 19, I looked like I was about 12. And so everybody I'm sure was looking at me going, what are we watching here? What is this? And
Yeah.
so the club manager at the time said, I'm not sure what you're doing, but they seem to like it. So if you want to come back and
That's
like host
funny.
an open mic or host something
Right.
really nothing insignificant. So I did, and I did that off and on throughout college. And then when I graduated, I got a job as an aerospace engineer at McDonnell
Yeah.
Douglas.
Yeah.
I would do comedy at the Comedy Store at night. And so it just went
Okay.
from there. And I took a big break when I had kids, which I
Yeah.
talk a lot about.
Yeah.
Um,
That's coming up next. I wrote
yeah.
down a lot of stuff.
Okay, so that's how I got into it. It was
Yeah.
just I went and saw a show at the Punchline. I was there the night it opened in the audience. And I
Wow.
just thought, this is the coolest thing ever. I want to do it.
I
And
just did one earlier that the fellow said the same thing. He went to a show
Mhm.
and he said they weren't very good. He said to himself, I could do this.
I don't even know why I thought I could do it. I mean, I did theater and all that in high school, but college was just nose to the grindstone,
Yeah. Well, you've
hard.
done so much. Let's keep going if it's okay, because we got so much to cover. You have another book, Confessions of a Band Geek Mom.
Yep.
And I want to kind of, before you answer that, because you mentioned your sons and they're musicians, right?
Yes.
So I wondered about that title, but yet I think the book's actually about something different.
It is. It's about how I ended up in going from LA to well, San Diego really at the time, to Park City. And then
Hmm.
once we were there, we had kids, and ended up raising them in Park City. So it's kind of a fish out of water. I made a lot of great friends there, and
Okay.
I'm a skier. I love to ski, but I hate being cold. I hate it.
Okay.
And so I never really kind of, embraced it as much as I could. And eventually I got a divorce and the kids went off to college. And as soon as that happened, I would come and go in LA. I still had a
Right.
foothold here, but I didn't live here. So about 8 years ago, I moved back
Okay.
and I'm never leaving again, Scott. You're not I mean, it's
Okay.
traffic, yes,
It
but
agrees with you.
yes.
Uh, Comedians that inspired you, and the follow-up question is comedians that you like now, and that can be local comedians like Ginny Sykes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, comedians that
or
inspired,
or what else do I have written down here? Ruth Brant. Well, do you know Ruth?
I love Ruth.
Okay,
Love,
Ruth
love
was on
Ruth.
the show. Ginny was on the show.
Uh-huh. I love them both. I've worked with them.
Oh, I don't know about either one of them. I think Ginny's crazy as hell.
They are, but those are the people you want to hang out with. Are you kidding?
Absolutely, they make me look normal.
They,
I loved having them on. Anyway, comedians that inspired you that would, if there are some that when you were, coming up that you said, well, I like that.
okay. Well, first and foremost, I was a huge George Carlin fan, and I actually got to see him live when I was in college.
I talked to him on the phone one time.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I was as close as probably 10 feet from him at a little club in San Francisco. And he was popular. His first album had just come out
I
not too.
I hate to interrupt, but I had Toledo window box, class clown. I had
Yeah.
Toledo window box on 8-track tape.
Oh, did you really?
How's that?
That's
See?
awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's a diehard fan right there.
I had it, and George Carlin really shaped, the seven naughty words, seven dirty words. Can't. I mean, he just probably one of the best comedians ever.
He is, and I love his use of storytelling. He still has setup
Yeah,
punch, but he weaves it into
yeah,
a story and his wordplay. I mean, at the end
right.
of the day, I'm a writer, and his
Yeah,
wordplay is just
yeah.
phenomenal. Um, so he was a big inspiration, and let me tilt up a little. Bob Newhart.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And Lily Tomlin.
yeah. Okay.
All of them kind of are storytellers and characters. I don't really do like I do a lot of act outs,
Yeah,
but the characters I do as act outs are real people that I knew, like my kids or
right.
some guy in a grocery store. I don't do impressions of famous people, but
Right.
I love to put an audience in the middle of a situation or
Yeah,
a story and then try to make it as, in the moment as possible. And I
yeah.
feel like that's what these people did, you know?
Well,
Um,
Bob Newhart, if I remember, and you can interject here if I'm wrong, but he was really well regarded that he could do work on the phone.
yes, his phone,
That
like,
in other words, he's just holding the phone, and there's really no one on the other end. But he was, and he was. I remember watching that stuff, and he was amazing.
yeah, he was. He was. So he didn't do character work in the sense that, he imitated anyone, but he did character work in that he was a character in his own scene. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah,
It was
yeah. He was great on TV. I loved him even when he wasn't on the phone. But as a I just loved him.
yeah, same.
And Lily Tomlin too. Lily Tomlin was great.
Yeah, yeah. And I have followed her career,
Yeah.
till the I've been to her one woman shows in
Did
New
you ever get
York.
to meet her? Did you ever get to meet her?
I did meet her
Okay,
not
cool.
I didn't get to meet her until her Grace and Frankie days.
Oh,
So
okay, yeah.
yeah, so what happened
Wasn't that
was,
with Jane Fonda? Is that
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
it's on Netflix or something.
Right. So what happened was, I think it was season 3 or 4. I got invited to a screening of the season premiere and before it aired, and then they did they did a Q&A afterward, and then they did a meet and greet. And
Oh,
I
cool.
actually got to chat with her, and I
Cool.
don't even feel like it was like, oh, I love you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I feel like we kind of had a little bit of a meaningful exchange. So
Cool,
that was,
cool.
I just walked out of there like I'm walking on air. Yeah. So yeah, I did meet her, but not
Yeah.
recently.
I have a comment there, but I'm going to keep going because I work. You don't know, and for people that are just tuning in, we've never met. We just met 10 minutes ago,
Right. True.
and that's why I love the spontaneity of these. But um, you say about like stars. I worked in the music business where people would go up and say, "Man, the first time I heard." Okay, thanks. And it was like,
Oh
here,
yeah, yeah,
here
yeah.
they are. First time I heard roundabout. All right, thanks.
Yeah.
How you
Yeah, I
doing?
know. I know. I have to say though, when I met, because I sort of met Jane Fonda too, because they were both there together, but she was
Right.
sort of, she's talking. But now these are women at the time, I think they were just about to turn 80. They were like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
79. And oh my God, the energy level, the engagement, they didn't act tired or bored or annoyed or I mean,
Right,
it was they were into it. And I was so impressed that they were so gracious with their
right.
time and that they had the energy level to do it. I mean, I'm nowhere near that age, and I was like, oh, I'm kind of tired.
I got
So
this written down because I love the title. You did a TED talk, and it's prison is starting path to creativity.
yeah, prison, a startling path to creativity.
Oh, startling.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I wrote it down wrong.
That's okay. That's okay.
No, I thought the title was great.
Either
But you
way.
actually you actually, went and talked to the prisoner and helped him write the book?
Yes, I story developed it for him. He wrote it. And so
Okay.
what I do in Hollywood, my day job is, I help people hire they'll something's already written or they already have an idea, and then they'll hire somebody like me to structure it and put it together. So the story there was his mom reached out to me on Facebook and said, my son wrote a book and I'd like to have you read it to let me know if it's any good. And I have a reading fee and all that. And she goes, I'll pay you whatever. And so but in the conversation, I find out he's in federal prison for human trafficking. And at first I'm like, no. And she says, wait,
Yeah.
let me tell you, it's not what you think. So, there is, as we all know, there's an underground railroad between Mexico and the United States bringing illegal immigrants in and out. And this guy was part of it. And he's a blonde hair, blue eyed, white American, born and raised in the United States. And how he got into this is kind of interesting. But at the end of the day, to make a long story short, um, this organization would bring in people to visit their families for like a weekend and then take them back. So what would happen? Let's say a grandmother finds out in Tijuana or Cabo or wherever, it says she's got cancer, but her children and grandchildren live in LA. By the time she would get all of the paperwork in order and paid for it, if she could,
Right.
she'd be dead. So they would bring her in, she'd stay for however long and then take her back. And so he was part of this for that's just one example, but he was part of this for 10 years and they finally caught him and he wouldn't roll it over. He wouldn't give names.
Mm.
So the federal prosecutor put him in federal prison for 10 years with a really nasty charge. And so while he was in there, he wanted to write his story. And his mom reached out to me, and eventually agreed to do it. And it took us about 3 years. And that's what the TED Talk is all about, is how things we take for granted, like we couldn't talk on the phone, we couldn't email, everything had to be, he doesn't have a laptop. So everything he did was handwritten. And
Okay.
then I had to pay somebody to transcribe it and put it into it. It was just, but the book came out, it did well.
Yeah.
He ended up getting a year shaved off his sentence. I
Good.
do believe because of it.
Good.
Um, there's no actual proof of that, but the timing is kind of, I'm sure it was. And uh, I got optioned to write a screenplay. So Hollywood's kind of in a weird state right now, but it comes and goes. The interest in this, the screenplays I wrote, it's been written, it's done.
Good.
So I'm hoping it does make it,
That would be wonderful.
light of day. Yeah, it's such a timely
Well,
time.
this thing is going along actually pretty swimmingly. You have some films that are already that you're involved with, or I mean, I haven't written down here if I could read it.
Sure.
Jupiter Landing,
Yeah.
Hold Please.
Yeah.
There's another one. Do you want to talk about those a little
Oh,
bit?
sure, sure. Jupiter Landing was a feature film that I co-wrote with my then writing partner, Zach Van Eck. And I actually directed that one too. And it's a quirky comedy. It came out in 2000
Yeah.
or six, and it did well. It did well. A little indie movie, on the Sundance circuit kind of
Hmm.
thing.
Sure.
And it had a short run, I think, on some cable thing. And
Right.
then you could rent it on Netflix for a while. So I think though it's run its course.
Okay.
And Cold Please, I was very proud of. It's a dark comedy about a woman who is suicidal and calls a hotline and gets put on all of these menus, press one if you want to shoot yourself, yeah, that kind of thing. And it got picked up, the script got picked up by an Australian TV
Right.
production company, and it was an episode of a funny TV show. And that one actually got nominated for at the Berlin Film Festival for best short film because they submitted it as a short film. It's like 20 minutes
Right.
or eight. I don't know. It's short, but it didn't win, but it was one of the top 10 that it got narrowed down. And there's another short that I did that I'm really proud of, called The Right Stuff
Yeah.
with WRITE. And that was a short film I wrote and directed and produced. And that did get narrowed down to the small pool for that year. I think it was 2007 or 8 for the Academy Award consideration for best short film that year. It did not get final nomination,
Still,
but it went pretty far, way further than I thought it would. So,
do you
yes.
have, and I guess the question is, uh, the stand-up comedy versus the writing scripts and stuff? Which do you have a
Um, I love them both. They're both two sides of the same coin. But at the end of the day, if somebody said to me, you can only have a career in one or the other, and whatever you pick, it's a career that can sustain you. Like you'll be paid, so don't worry about the money. It's which one would you rather do? I think it would be stand-up comedy.
really?
Yep.
Huh.
I love
That
it.
surprised me. I thought you were going to go the other way.
No, I'll tell you why. Stand-up comedy is storytelling, and I love storytelling. And when you write a book or a screenplay or even a short, it's one long story. But with stand-up comedy, you can write a whole bunch of little stories and tell like three or four of them in 5 minutes. I did a 1 hour comedy special a year ago, October, and I put it up at the Santa Monica Playhouse, and it was just such a luxury. I stood up there, it sold out, and I stood up there and I spoke for an hour telling all these stories. And I just, of course, it was recorded, and at some point, I want to turn it into a comedy album. But
Okay. Yeah.
I just got so much storytelling out, you know,
Cool.
than just telling one long story.
Do you have a favorite show that you've done, comedy, stand-up comedy wise, and then a least favorite show?
Uh,
You know, I'm an idiot. We established that.
no, I'm thinking that's
Because the least favorite show is the one I really want, but I'll let
okay.
you do a favorite show.
Well, the favorite shows I do, and Jenny probably mentioned this maybe, is I produce a show called with Christine Picone Van Duzer called Third Act Comedy, which is a comedy show where it's women over 40, mostly really over 50,
Okay.
female comics. And we have a ball. And we do it every other month, the last
Okay.
Sunday of the month. And we just did one, it's in the odd numbered months. So we just did September. And Jenny was in that one. And we just have a ball and we sell out. The audiences love it. I feel like it's a voice that doesn't get to be heard quite that often. There may be one older female comic in a lineup, maybe, but here's a night of like six of them. So, and it's long form. So each comic gets 15 minutes
Cool.
instead of five. So yeah, so any one of those would be my favorite. And my least favorite, oh, I do
Let
have
me
one.
let me just
So
interject real quick because um, Vanessa Hollingshead and Missy Hall, Carol Montgomery, they have a thing, women of a certain age. I don't know if you've heard
yeah,
of that. Yeah, but I
I
mean,
have.
I'll make it just. I love to have female comics on as many as I can.
Oh, I appreciate that. That's great. That's great. Yeah,
Okay,
it
least
is a
favorite
different.
show.
The least favorite show. Okay, so I had a corporate gig in Silicon Valley, and um, I also that night, it was during the day because it was a conference I was speaking at, but I had a gig that night at the Improv, when there was an Improv in Santa Monica. They had used to have an Improv in Santa Monica and in Melrose, and then they closed the Santa Monica one, and now it's West
Right.
Side Com. But so I took a plane down, did the thing at the Improv, went back up to San Jose where the conference was, and got back like at 4 in the morning, and I was supposed to be on stage at 9. So I went back to my hotel room, got an hour sleep, got up, changed. I mean, I like killed myself to get there. And then I get on stage, and I was supposed to open this conference with some comedy. And right when I started speaking, a fire alarm went off and the sprinklers went on, and it just, and everybody ran out screaming. And I'm on the stage like, and it turns out it wasn't a fire; it was a malfunction.
That's
Uh,
funny.
yeah, so that was no fun. And then one time at the Comedy Store in La Jolla, a fight broke out in front of me in the audience. And I kind of provoked it, I think, because there was this drunk guy in the front row and he was heckling me. So I
Wait,
heckled
wait,
back.
wait, 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 wait. You think you provoked it?
Yeah, not on purpose,
Go
but
ahead. Tell the whole story.
well, the guy was actually a Navy guy on, I guess, shore leave, but he had on his, as like enlisted man, and his girlfriend, and they had too much to drink, and he was slurring his words and like interrupting me, and I would zing him back. And then at one point he says, "Oh, I'm going to come up there and kick your ass." And he acted like he was going to climb on stage because he was seated at the apron, like right at the foot of the stage. And of course, bouncers come and grab him, and he fought back, and then the table tips over, people move, and I'm on stage. And so I didn't know what to do. So I started calling it like I was watching a horse race. And people didn't know whether to look at me or look at them. Anyway, they finally got him out of there, restored order, and I got to finish my set. And
Okay.
when I was done, I got a standing ovation. So it went from the worst situation
Okay.
to not too bad.
I may be wrong here, and I apologize if I'm wrong. How is Chico doing?
Oh, Chico's great. He's actually sitting right down here.
Get him. Go ahead. Get him. Bring him up.
Is he in here?
I'm glad I asked.
Chicky, come here. Come here. Oh, come here.
Come on,
He's
Chico. Oh, buddy. Hi. Man,
he's
I'm glad I asked.
he says
I
hi.
love Chico.
I do too. He's my
Oh, he's
biggest.
adorable.
Yeah, he's
Oh
gonna
my
be
gosh.
he's 14 and a half.
Wow. He reminds me, and I don't know if you know her or not. Do you know Helen Shepherd?
I know of Helen, yeah.
She has a little dog. If you watch not that you're going to watch any of my crap, but I have
Oh, I watched some
a,
of it,
a
yeah.
reel, an opening reel where I have 54 different comedians been on, and Helen has a dog very similar to that.
Oh,
Hers
yeah.
is
Oh,
called Speedy Gonzalez.
oh, he
Chico,
he's
14 years.
14. He'll be 15 in April.
God,
April.
that's amazing.
Yeah, he's
I
doing
love dogs. I love dogs, and you'll have to pardon my ignorance, but I wanted to mix it up a little bit. What else
that's
do I have down here? Oh, I mentioned about the boys.
Mhm.
And again, you don't know, maybe you looked a little bit, but I used to work in the music business.
Yeah.
I have gold and platinum records on my wall. I worked with all kinds of artists. I was wondering if the boys are still doing music.
Oh, for sure, for sure. My older one, he's actually in Spain right now, but they both tour a lot. And my older one does a lot of scores commercials, like car commercials, or he gets these gigs scoring, and the money on there is really good. But they both have their own bands. They both have their own music. They
Cool,
both compose their own music.
cool.
My older son is in a duo with his wife called Dare to Love because his name's Derek and her name is Lavisa. So it's
Okay,
DER number two LOV.
okay,
They're very popular locally here in LA. They've done the Viper Room. They got a big following.
good, good. Well,
Yeah.
that's why I wanted to mention it because it's not just about that. Also, I have written down grandparent. You just a grandmother, is that correct?
Yes, Derek and Lavisa just had a baby April 24th. So that little girl's birthday is 42424. And
And you're gonna spoil her a little bit,
I'm gonna spoil her. I put that in my act. I said it's funny because when she was born, I post on Facebook, I can't wait as if I'm talking to her to intermittently spoil you and then give you back to your parents. And somebody said, why intermittently? Why not just spoil her?
right?
And I said, oh, because I want to keep my son and daughter-in-law on their toes.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I give her back, she'll be a perfect angel. And sometimes she'll be an entitled bitch. I have so much to teach her.
Yeah.
So I
That's the
just
way grandparents are. My parents, and I remember hollering at my father said, "Oh, Scott." I'm like, "Dad, stop." You know?
yeah. Oh, I just love her to death. And fortunately, they live less than a half a mile from me. And so I do get to see them and
Good, good.
often. So it's
Well, I want to mention one more thing, and then you can talk about anything you want to talk about. The Hollywood Fringe Festival. I
yes,
know Ruth was on and talked about that, and you had some success there as well.
I did. I did a one woman show called A Bit Much, did really well. And then it morphed into a screenplay, which did get optioned, but then the option fell through, or not fell through, it just ended.
Right.
Um, and I'm toying with either maybe converting that into a book, like a novel. Uh, I need to actually dust that off and start shopping it around again.
Okay.
But Third Act Comedy is going to do a show in the 2025 Hollywood Fringe. And
Okay.
I'm really excited about that.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, my friend, we've only got a little bit of time left, so I want to make sure. No, 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 because you got to do your comedy minute yet too.
Yes.
But I want to make sure, and Chico can stay. You can keep Chico in the picture. I love him. He's fine. Or
Well,
bring him back at the end. But
okay. If he wants to go
whatever
back.
you want to do, whatever.
Okay.
Chico, you're welcome. I love you. Um, I just want to make sure that we cover everything that you want to cover. Anything you want to tell people, any upcoming projects. You mentioned the shows, but I just want to make sure we cover everything that you want to mention. I think my crack staff put a pretty good list together. I hope.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, you did. Yeah.
I'm the crack staff, by the way.
I know how that goes.
Okay. So anything you want to mention, and then we'll do your comedy minute, and we'll wrap this little thing up.
Okay. Well, only the couple things. One,
Sure.
uh, locally in the LA area, our next Third Act Comedy show is November 24th. So that's the
Okay.
Sunday before Thanksgiving.
Yep.
And we have an Instagram. It's just called Third Act Comedy.
Okay.
It would love everybody to follow that.
I will put all the links to everything you have: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, everything you have. I'll put it in this when it airs.
Great. And I just started, and this has been kind of fun. I do Instagram, TikTok, and
Okay.
well, Facebook is kind of like more just keeping in
Yeah.
touch with people, but Instagram, TikTok, and once YouTube Reels came out, which is not that long ago, YouTube
Mhm.
Stories or whatever they're calling it, I was like, I need to get on this. So about a month ago, I did start, and I thought I'm going to post a little clip a day over there, and I did, and it really grew, and so I would love people to follow my YouTube shorts. That's kind of my new thing right now. I mean, follow me everywhere, but YouTube shorts, I've actually starting to get some traction on that. And because it's new to me, I enjoy doing it. It doesn't feel like drudgery yet. So I've been pretty consistent on it, and I've had a lot of fun. I've had a lot of fun over there. And I feel like it's a way as a comedian, I can tour without going anywhere, which I do want to put together a tour probably in 2025, but I think I'll just keep it for now on the west side of the country, just because
That's how I got monetized by YouTube on their shorts,
oh yeah,
their shorts program.
yep, yep,
I had one go to 108,000 views or something, but then they changed the shorts program.
yes, yes. Well, and starting like the 15th of this month or something, now you can do up to 3 minutes
Yeah,
instead.
yeah, yeah.
So it's
They're
so,
always changing it.
yeah, it's so new. They're just changing it around like crazy. But I don't know. I'm just gonna I can do it so quickly and easily and schedule them out that it just
Sure.
so that's kind of my new tinker toy, my new plaything in the sandbox is YouTube Shorts. So I'd love people to follow me there if they can only follow me in one place.
They'll follow you everywhere.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know what time it is, right?
Yes.
All right. Let me do a formal introduction.
Okay.
Stacy Dymalski. Did I pronounce it right? Stacy Dymalski.
Yes.
Your comedy minute. Go ahead, my friend.
Well, as we've talked about, I'm very technical, I am a math major. I worked for McDonnell Douglas. I literally was a rocket scientist.
Right.
Yeah, which is not exactly how you get a guy to swipe right on a dating app. No guy ever goes out on a Friday and thinks, gosh, I hope I go home tonight with a woman who can factor a polynomial. So because I'm technical, I have a whole minute, right? Because I'm technical,
You have 5 minutes. You can do whatever you want.
okay. Well, because I'm technical, I have a real problem with people who don't use the correct rhythm when reciting phone numbers. So I'm a person of a certain generation. But cell phones have turned us all into babbling random number generators. So, for example, when I needed to get a referral from my doctor, I asked his receptionist for the phone number, and she goes 5032 84127 6. And I was like, what? Is is that even a phone number? I I'm sorry, I lost you after the five.
Right.
Could you number it to me again, please? And she goes, 50328 412 76. Completely different rhythm. And I go, that's not a phone number. That's a combination to an LA Fitness gym lock. So I said, no, no, look, I was around when area codes are invented, bitch. It's 3 digits, 4 digits.
Right.
Yes. Can you do that? And she goes, 5032. Nope. 50328. Nope. 50328. Nope. This went on and on and on until finally I had a stroke. At which point she looks down and goes, oh dear, would you like me to call 911?
91.
So just one of the many
Ah,
things that drive me nuts.
yeah. That was perfect.
Well, thank you.
That was perfect. Let me stop the recording so we can talk for a minute off the air if that's okay.
That's fine.
Okay. Thank you so much for being here.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me,
If
Scott.
you had fun, we'll have you back in a few months. We'll see how you're doing.
I'd love that. Thank you.
Wonderful. Let me stop the recording.
Okay.